Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. This week, we're talking about Dawnshard, a new book here from Prologue to Chapter 5, wherein we get to meet our old buddy Yalb, who has a very, beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean style intro where they find a ghost ship. It's pretty sweet. We go see our buddy Ryn, or is that how we say it? Ryan? Whatever.
Rysn.
All right. We see our buddy Rysn.
She is Rysn, baby.
She's Rysn. Hey, she's got some fun stuff. It's kind of I kind of like seeing inside her head. It's a good time. We get some interesting developments. I do like how directly this is affecting all of the characters that we've been following through Stormlight Archive. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, she's going on an adventure on the Deep Blue Wet thing to find the island where horrible things happened. And so we are dropped in the middle of that. We got a nice little part where we're inside Lopen's head the Lopen's head as well. So it's a lot of fun so far. I'm excited. I am Joe, and with me this week is
Jack,
Jamie,
and Data.
We're all back again talking about a new book. So hold on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
So yeah, new novella rather than a novel this time, and we read the first about a fourth of this little book. I should start out actually. I wanted to mention that the new song that you heard by Miracle of Sound this time is Perfect, which is the Arcane/Jinx song, is what it says. So if you are an Arcane fan or what's the game that she's in?
Arcane.
Is Arcane no, Arcane's the show, isn't it?
I don't know.
Because Jinx is the character that they brought over into the show from League of Legends. That's the name of the game. I was I'm pretty sure Arcane is the cartoon. I've
never played League. Not a League guy.
She was so popular they put her in a TV show, which I haven't actually watched Arcane, but it is the amazing animated show that people are calling out as see, Brandon, here's proof that you could do Stormlight or something animated and it could be awesome. And even he has said, stuff like Arcane is out there proving that animation can look really amazing, but also apparently that show costs a ridiculous amount to make and doesn't make any money at all, is what I've heard. But whatever. But that Perfect is the name of the song. Sorry, already on a tangent. Also, I am recovering from a week of being sick, and I coughed my voice completely out earlier in the week. So if I sound, a little messed up, that is why. What did you guys think of the start of Dawnshard?
It was an interesting start. I was just a bit okay, who are we following here? And then, because it starts with Yalb, I'm I thought Yalb was dead. And then it turns out, no, he was one of the few survivors. I'm okay, no worries. And then just as quickly as he showed up, he disappeared. So Rysn has always been fun. We've seen Rysn quite a few times. Okay, I can enjoy seeing her, seeing more of her things. And then we finally got the hook of, oh, we're going to that island where we saw, they mentioned her in this book, the rogue soulcaster was going to try and find a cure, and the little Kremling people who was disguised as the cook just killed the entire crew. I'm oh, okay, now I'm in. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that hooked me. And then we realized, oh, one of the other main characters in this book is going to be the Lopen. I'm okay. I've been kind of ambivalent on the Lopen a bit. Sometimes he's worked for me, sometimes he hasn't. He's not quite at a you annoy me like Wayne does, which is good. But there are times when I'm just I don't know. When Brandon tries to make the comic relief character, sometimes he goes too hard on the comic relief, and it can be a bit hit or miss. And then they were discussing the fact that he's the Lopen in these books, in this book, sorry. And I had an epiphany, and all of a sudden the Lopen became a lot more tolerable. It was because they were referring to him as the Lopen, and they make a point of I think someone says, "Why the Lopen?" And it reminded me of Strong Bad and the Cheat. And then I realized, you know what? If you start reading the Lopen's lines in Strong Bad's voice, all of a sudden the character works so well.
Oh man, strong bad.
And you better think, Lopen, you used to be a majestic crawler. These lots don't know how good they have it being able to crawl whenever they want.
Kids of the early 2000s enjoy.
Yep.
You found something that works for you, Dak.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. Oh man.
It works for me, and it's just ruined the character for a bunch of listeners. So
Yeah. If they even know who Strong Bad is, I feel like that's a niche thing.
Go out and watch,
That's true.
Trogdor or whatever.
Yeah,
and,
Trogdor, burning it.
That one
We've
doesn't
talked
have the
about-
most strong bad of any strong bad short ever, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel like we've talked about Trogdor on the show before.
I'm sure.
We
It's
have.
funny that you talk about the voice for Lopen, because I think for the first time ever, as I was reading this story this time, I was like trying to do like the bad Australian accent to Lopen's lines to see how it comes
Yeah.
out, and I was like, I don't. That may have been more New Zealand. I don't know.
How does that make you feel, Dak? That he's supposed to sound Australian?
I think we've talked about this before. It's like any time like he would say gancho or gancho, I'm just like I just don't think that word really translates into an Australian accent very well at all. So
Yeah, I guess we need to know like where the emphasis is on what syllables.
yeah, and the pronunciation of the A, is it gancho or gancho or?
So in the audiobook, Michael Kramer does this like gancho, like, but it's not like it's not Australian. He's maybe trying, but
He's trying.
it's not.
Oh.
He's trying. I just accept that it's an attempt, but it is, at the end of the day, not Australian. It's just the Lopen. It's like, what's that gancho? Like it's gar.
Okay.
Like in an Australian accent, I feel like we would go ga. Like there's a real sound that comes with it, but
Bloody galah.
that doesn't. A galah. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
But it's like a gancho. Like it's not quite executed the same. It's good. He's still good. He does a lot of good work with all the characters, and I'm not here to rubbish on Michael Kramer. But it's an experience, the Lopen in audiobook form. It's not like if you picture Strong Bad, it's like opposite Strong Bad.
Oh, okay.
Just yeah. It's like I'll jump into mine after this, but it's almost like if Wayne was trying to put on an Australian accent.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
Wayne's
that's
really
the
good at
Lopen's vibe.
accents.
Yeah, so it's there, it's close, but it's not quite there.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the start of this story. It's fun. We're jumping straight in. I enjoy that we've got some characters that we've seen before, and I like that we've got a couple of the interlude stories sort of starting to connect. But I like that it's close enough to existing like main characters that we've obviously learned so much about over 3 epic novels that it feels like it's got relevance. Like it's not about these characters, but it's going to be relevant, which I'm really excited about. I like Rysn. I actually really like the idea of having Rysn and the Lopen together, both having lost the use of one or more limbs at some point. I feel like there is an understanding and a common ground between them that I think will be really interesting to explore. And it's already, you can see, it's like, well, you shouldn't have to joke about things to make other people feel comfortable. But, that's kind of the reality of the situation. Like, no one wants to make you uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, to make other people comfortable, you kind of have to make yourself a bit uncomfortable first. And yeah, I wouldn't have ever thought about putting these characters together, but I'm actually really here for it. I really like it so far. So, quarter of the book down. Excited to see where we go. Love a good mystery. Excited to see this rogue soulcaster story come back into play, and yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really not the most expected pairing, huh? If someone was like, we're going to take a couple of smaller characters from the previous books and put them together, those would not have been the ones I guessed either.
Yeah, we did get exactly what I expected out of the Lopen meeting a official from another country, though. Like, yeah, let's just cut straight to the chase. I'm going to take you flight. I'm effectively going to kidnap you in front of your cohort, and yeah, probably shouldn't have done it that way, but it's fine. You had fun, right? So it's all worth it. You had fun.
Yeah, it's all good. Oh man, yeah, you're right. That is exactly what we should probably expect. Which is why until Kaladin explains it, I was like, why would you let Lopen be the guy who's going to go greet important people? But after I'm like, okay, maybe it makes sense, but still. But the scene that you mentioned where he's doing the jokes, and it was like, no, she shouldn't have to like make jokes to make other people comfortable with their own insecurities. But that's a result, I believe, of Brandon got a lot of feedback about characters with disabilities that he'd written. And when he was writing this, I remember him specifically talking about how because Rysn was going to be a major character, he had got recruited beta readers who were specifically like people suffering from various kinds of disabilities so that they could give feedback on like, is the way that she's thinking about these things like accurate to a person in that sort of situation. And so I think you see a lot of that come out in this story.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he went a long way to try to make it accurate, and I'm like, man, that is pretty impressive. Most authors probably do not put that much effort into it, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this story. I like the kind of side character view that we're taking into the larger story that we know about, right? Like we're focusing on characters that aren't the primary focus in the main story bits. Maybe Lopen you could argue is probably like the most main character that we've had a perspective from so far, and he's going on this trip, and so we're gonna have plenty of Lopen action. But yeah, having Yalb come back in the prologue, be like, hey, it's that guy, and then like, oh, he survived, and now they're on the ship, and then connecting the dots from like that ship to that ship that we saw sail to that island, and then the unfortunate end that they came to, and then having that kind of be the focus of like, oh no, we're going to scary, spooky island. It's just kind of it's like a fun little diversion in a novella. I'm really enjoying it. This is the kind of stuff that like I would like to see more novellas from Brandon, where it's like in world, in something that we're familiar with, but it's like just kind of a side jaunt in the overall story. Because stuff like that, I've always said like, oh man, he touches on this culture or these things here. It'd be really cool if we got like a whole story about that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is kind of what that is, not necessarily about a story or a culture, but about characters that are, in the background of the main books going on an adventure. So I'm really looking forward to it. This kind of stuff is my jam. So I'm excited.
In Stormlight especially, I feel like there's so much of that where you see, because there's so many different cultures and stuff on Roshar that you're like, and so many characters that you're like, man, I could really do with side stories about a lot of these things, but it's hard to, you can't do a million different side stories, really.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
But like we've heard so much about like Horn Eaters from Rock, and I'm like, I want to know more about that culture, which maybe the next novella that he does is going to be called Horn Eater. There's been talk about that, but there's been talk about that for years now, and it hasn't come out yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, stuff like this is my jam. It's fun, and yeah, getting little tidbits about the other cultures. Yeah, the only thing that's causing tension, which I think it's kind of meant to, although it seems like maybe it's on the way to resolution already, is kind of like Rysn's relationship with their crew, which they kind of explained that in this first little section. It's like they thought that maybe that was going to be their ship, and now she's the owner of the ship. So that whole relationship's weird to me too. It's like it's almost like it's almost like a lease agreement. It's like you own and operate this ship, but you are not like we don't belong to, like, I don't know. It's like it's a weird. It seems like a really weird relationship.
It is weird. Like the thing with the ship and the fact that it's owned by investors and stuff, I feel like that's kind of classic, basically.
Right.
But yeah, apparently the thing with the crew, it's like there's some tradition here that we don't know everything about. At least that's the way it comes across to me, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well, let's move into these chapters, y'all. And y'all, I say, as we're about to start with Yalb. But I, for one, am happy to see the return of Yalb, who, as you mentioned, we thought was lost long ago. And I'm curious if Brandon always intended him to survive. There was hints about that before, that some of them had lived, or if he was just like, I need somebody on a boat. Who's that going to be? Oh, I know. And so, yeah, Yalb, we find out in the prologue, was one of 3 survivors from the ship. And no one has told him what happened. Like, I guess Yasna and Shalon know, and they've explained to other people, like, what happened with the ship. I don't know, maybe Queen Fen has found out about this. But it's not the kind of thing that's so important that they'd be talking about it. Yasna's like, yeah, someone tried to assassinate me. Shalon turned a ship into water, whatever.
Well, it's like there were only 3 survivors. Technically, like their blood is on Shalon's hands.
Well, I don't. They were all going to be killed by the guys that were assassinating them one at a time. So I don't know that that's fair. But
they it's kind of like, well, could they have fought off the assassins? Who knows?
Well, no. At the end, when she turns the boat into water, like they had them tied up and were executing them one at a time. And that's why she's like, this is the only chance that I can give them is.
Oh, man, that was. I'm sorry, I don't remember that. That was forever ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It just shows you how far back we have to reach with some of these things that pop up. Brandon's like, you remember what happened like 2,000 pages ago, right? And we're like, yeah, sure, man, if you say so.
I don't know how he can, with how much stuff he creates, I don't know how he keeps it all straight in his head.
I'm pretty sure he has a lot of people to help with that at this point. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. And Yalb has got a new sailor on board named Doc, who's an Alethi. Who knew that Alethis could actually sail, apparently. And they're hazing him a little bit with these sailor spren, where it's like, well, you can't see the sailor spren? Oh, man, I guess you're not a real sailor. It's like, oh, no, wait, I see it.
I love this.
I like the way Rysn talks about it later, where it's like, okay, so it would be great if hazing just wasn't a thing, but realistically, we've learned that it's hard to accomplish that, so just, make it something harmless, and it's not so bad.
And as long as they don't go too far, like, not going to take all of your money or anything like that. Don't go too far with it, but yeah,
like
when no one gets hurt.
Yalb even thinks like, yeah, sure, we're going to take some of his money, but we're going to use the money to buy everybody, including him, drinks. So, and then he's officially part of the team. It's all good. And then the fate of the Wind's Pleasure comes up in discussion about how the entire ship just vanished. And apparently the rumor is that like he was serving on a ghost ship for years without realizing it. And then one day the ghost ship just is like, all right, I'm a ghost, and ghosts off, I guess. I don't know what the thinking is. And then he's like, for months, I thought that I was crazy because of what I thought happened. And then the whole world went crazy. So whatever. But that's when they spot a ship with no crew that they can see. And so they're going to have to go and take a look. And the captain's like, Yalb, you have special experience with ghost ships, so you're in charge of the boarding party. And he's like, oh, great. Thank you so much. But he doesn't complain out loud because apparently it was hard for him to find a job at all after the stink of this rumor is on him. So the captain's a good guy. Took him in. And on the plus side, this ship does not vanish beneath their feet as they explore it. So great. And we don't find out right here, but we do find out later that this is the ship we saw, as you guys mentioned, in one of the interludes in the previous book, that a crab person, a person made of crabs or whatever, killed the crew, poisoned them all, and I guess then set the ship adrift. We find out that it looks like they tried to sink it and didn't know enough about the new ships to understand how to do it correctly. So I guess they just tried to sink the ship and then left. And the prologue ends with Yalb just being like, this is weird. This sea's crazy, right? But he knows that they're going to have to take this ship back, and he's like, oh man, the captain's going to put me on that ship to sail it back. Dad,
he's just like, so like, oh man, I gotta sail on a spooky ship.
I'm the ghost ship expert. Great. And then before the actual chapter start, we get what I think is a very cool picture of Rysn in her chair with Cheery, and in the background you can see what is presumably Lopen talking to his spren. So it's a very fun little sketch, really, I guess, more than a picture.
I had not noticed that was probably Lopen in the background. There you go.
I mean, they brought 2 Radiants on the ship, so I guess it's probably Lopen or Huio. Then we get the Cheery Cheery chapter header, which I also like. They made a pin of that, which is came out with Dawnshard in Spain, I think. Very hard to get in the US, but I have a replica of it that I got recently. So it's a very cool little thing, which maybe I'll have to use as the image for this week's episode when it goes up, now that I think about it. And Rysn is trying to figure out what profitable venture she's going to send her new ship on next. They've had one trading expedition so far, and it went really well. Everybody made money. So you got to be careful, pick just the right one for the next one. At the same time, we find out that Cheery Cheery is not feeling good. It says she's turning white, like too white, not like she's just molting. Something is wrong. But because Larkins are extremely rare, no one has ever seen one of these. None of the doctors she goes to can help because they have no idea what kind of diseases a Larkin might get.
So we don't have any reference for like what happened to her other than she sucked. Did she suck like energy out of that big stone?
She sucked out Stormlight from the big stone. She eats Stormlight all the time, though. She also sucked out like Void Light from the guy who was disguised as like the Voidbringer who used light weaving or the equivalent to like disguise as somebody and try to steal the rock. So that could have something to do with it. But yeah, we have no idea what is wrong with her.
Okay.
And so she's also sent a message to the guys back on the island where she got Cheery Cheery in the first place because like, hey, you guys have more of these there, right? Do you know what's wrong? We also meet Nickley, who is her new head porter, is what it calls him. And he's still learning what she wants him to do and not do, basically. It's like she's moving over to get a pen, and he's like, oh, here, let me get that for you. And she's like, I mean, thanks, but let me ask for help before you just assume that I want you to help me. Here before long, we get the arrival of our old friend. His name is Talik? Yes, Talik. Sorry, I was scanning the page, like, where is it? And Talik is like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, holy crap, how did you get here so fast? I just wrote to you. He's like, oh, we were already in the area. We were in Azamir. The king wants to meet Dalinar Kholin and see these knights radiant. And it's been 2 years since we first met this guy in book time, since her accident.
Yeah, timelines are weird.
Yeah, clearly it's been a little while since the end of Oathbringer because she's already had like one trading expedition and we saw her get the ship toward the end of Oathbringer. But so he says that Cheery Cheery has already gotten bigger than any of the Larkins that he's seen. And so he says he talked to the people on the island and the king's consort approached Relu Na, which is the island, the giant crab thing that they live on top of. And asked Relu Na, like, how to help Cheery Cheery. Because apparently these great shells, he says, like, the great shelled gods of the Reshi took in the last of the Larkin and made, like, a promise to protect them. And so as the island says, you have to take Cheery Cheery home to Amia. And not just to Amia, specifically to the lost city of Akina, which is where we saw that ship going before everyone on it was murdered. So, yeah, no, this should be easy, right?
Oh, no, they made it to the island.
That's true.
Just.
One of them made it. I don't know that anyone else actually got to the island before dying.
Yeah.
At least not onto, like, the land. Anyway. And this is 2 months after the discovery of this ghost ship, which was heading that direction. And she sees Navani Kholin has put out a request for a ship to travel to Amia and investigate what happened. But so far, nobody has wanted to accept that because it is freaky and dangerous and stuff. And Rysn's like, well, I guess I found my next expedition. And the next chapter, we see them. They're at Urithiru. And Rysn is going for a meeting with Navani Kholin. And she's got Cheery Cheery. And she's like, look, there's lots of Fabrials in the tower. Don't start eating them like you did last time. But Cheery Cheery's like all lethargic and, not feeling good. So it's kind of sad. Like when she pops up in a little bit and goes and eats some of the like lamps, I was like, oh, good. She's good enough to fly around.
Sure, that puts some warmth in the heart of anyone who's ever had a sick pet, and you're like, oh, yes, you did it.
You're eating. It's a big like plot point of the most recent Pokemon game. One of his Pokemons is sick.
Really?
Yeah, you can play Scarlet Violet.
Oh, I did. I know. I remember what you're talking about now. Yes. Okay.
Oh, I guess the most recent game is Legends. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's more recent than that. I mean, you got that new like Animal Crossing Pokemon game too.
Oh yeah, I don't count those. That's weird.
My wife really wants to play that, but it's expensive at the moment. And maybe Nintendo
wanna-
games don't usually get cheap. But
Oh, I want to play that, but it's only on Switch too, isn't it?
Yeah,
I got her a Switch 2 for her birthday. So
Oh, nice.
it's my friend said it's all right. I'm not a big Animal Crossing style game guy, so it just it doesn't look appealing to me. But yeah, I mean, definitely it's got, you're a Ditto that's pretending to be a person, so it's kind of weird.
It's not at all freaky after seeing Detective Pikachu and how creepy that was.
Yeah.
So they have porters who take Rysn up in a palanquin and take her right into Navani's office, it seems like. And Nickley has to kind of bring her chair behind her in case they need it. And Navani is clearly real busy. She's got all these meetings, got all this paperwork she's doing. And so she looks up when this meeting starts and she's like, so who are you again? I'm sorry. She needs a secretary to tell her this stuff beforehand. And she's like, I came in response to your request. I'm Rysn Fattori Ba Vistum. So I guess as part of your title, it's the guy who trained you is listed. And Avani's like, right, the ghost ship. Yeah, okay, sorry. Right.
Yeah, she's got a lot going on,
Yeah, clearly. She's queen of a whole, tower city. And since we last saw her in the previous chapter, Rysn personally visited the ghost ship and didn't find anything really useful, except for the fact that somebody tried to sink it and stole the logbooks. So clearly this was intentional. And they get sidetracked briefly where Navani's like, hey, we have Radiants who can try to heal your legs, right? And she's like, yeah, we've tried. It turns out that my injuries are too old.
So this was me being like, she's going to go and see the Radiance and she's going to get healed and everything's going to be oh. Okay.
Yeah. We even get her description briefly of the Radiant who she met with and tried to heal her, and he was this guy who didn't talk much. I was like, oh, she's talking about our friend Renarin. She just doesn't know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, son of the king, no big deal.
Yeah, no big. I guess she didn't.
Going to be like, oh no, you can't just have anyone. You're going to have to be a Radiant. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they figured out where the ship came from. They know about the Soulcaster. And Navani says, I talked to the Prince of Leofor, who said that Soulcaster thought that Amia might have the secrets to healing her. And the ship's captain was infatuated with legends about the lost riches of Akina. And it's well, no, we've been looking around Amia for years. There's no riches. The place was scoured. It's barren now. And I believe we've heard previously about the scourging of Amia, although we don't know exactly what that meant. And Navani's like, yeah, from the large island. But what about the one hidden in a mysterious storm? And Rysn's like, yeah, that's just a legend. And Navani's like, yeah, well, they said the same thing about Urathiru. We actually sent some windrunners, and they found a really freaky storm right where the ghost ship was supposed to have been coming from. And when they got close, they lost their powers. So something is going on out there.
It's some bad hoodoo.
And then we get distracted again briefly, where she's like, maybe there's something out there, legends about mythical creatures that feed off of stormlight. Look significantly at Chiri Chiri. And Navani's like, can I see the creature? I promise I won't try to separate it from you. Which I can't decide if that's comforting or to be like, hey, can I see that thing that you have? I promise I won't steal it. That's a weird thing to say to me. Why would you even tell me you weren't going to steal something from me? I thought that that's just the basic assumption of civilized society. Now I'm suspicious. I don't know.
So rare that it would be an expectation that someone would probably want to take it. And especially if you bring it up, Navani is so on top of research and all that sort of stuff. We know that Navani is a good person, but Rysn doesn't know Navani at all. So it's oh, this is a weird way to bring it up. Oh, maybe I do need to preface this by I don't want to take your pet. Just want to have a look, if that's okay.
I guess she is also a queen, and kings and queens maybe have a habit of just assuming they can take whatever they want. So that's a fair point. And yeah, Chiri Chiri flies over and starts, it sucks up some light from a lamp, and Rysn's like, I'm sorry. We've been working on not eating light fixtures, but she's been sick lately and has been regressing in her training a little bit. But Navani's just like, oh my gosh, this is cool. Hold on. And she throws out some spheres. And I like the description. Fortunately, Chiri saw these as easier prey and dropped to the table. So she's hunting the spheres. It's cute. And Navani's like, oh my gosh, is this how the Thalen Artifabrians can adjust Stormlight in their Fabrials? Do you guys have a bunch of these hidden away? And Rysn's like, what? No. I got this from the Reshi Isles. It's the only one I've ever seen. We move back into the actual topic of our meeting. She's like, oh, I heard you have a really cool ship. Do you think it can get through the storm? And Rysn's like, I mean, the Wandersail is pretty awesome. It has all these, like, the most advanced new stuff. But I got to think about the well-being of my crew. I can't just take them in there to die in a place even Radiants are scared to go. And Navani's like, well, I can't send Windrunners alone, because if they fall into the ocean and drown, they're screwed. But I can send some with your ship. It's like, okay, that negates some of the danger, hopefully, having some Radiants along on the trip. And the terms that Navani has for her they're very generous. They will make a lot of money off this, and that's before the note that's in the contract about, like, salvage. Like, they get a piece of anything they find, as well as on top of the money that she's offering. So she's like, this is a good deal for us. And Navani even goes like, I mean, this is a hard mission. Is there anything else that you want in payment for what I'm asking? And Rysn is like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that I have to take Chiri to this place to help her. She's sick. So this is something I want to. However, I've heard some stuff about the new Fabrial platforms that can move around in the air. And then, like, there's a significant look at, like, her wheelchair. And Navani's like, oh, okay, no, I get what you're saying. I have to send a scholar along with you anyway. I'll send somebody who knows about this stuff and can kind of show you what we're doing. Which we find out later is Rushu, who we've met before, the absent-minded ardent, who's always fun. And then we get the Lopen chapter, and I love Lopen's chapter header. It's just like a very excited Lopen with 3 arms on one side for some reason that I'm not clear on. It almost looks like he's doing like rock, paper, scissors with each of these 3 arms. I don't know.
I just saw a very excited Lopen shaking his new arm around. Very, is it Da Vinci's...
The
Vitruvian man.
Yeah, and like the arms in different positions. Vibe I got.
Good call.
The Lopenian man.
And yeah, it's interesting seeing inside Lopen's head. And Rua has found, his friend Rua has found the people he's looking for. He's apparently late to meet with this party, which includes Talik, who we just talked to. Greetings, I am the Lopen, Windrunner, poet, and your most humble servant. You must be King Ralna. And Talik is like, I speak for the king. And he's just like, okay, sure, Talik. Do you like to fly? And Talik's like, I mean, I don't know. I've never... Holy shit. And Lopen's like, yeah, we talk later. And grabs him, infuses him with Stormlight, and they fly into the air. Not just into the air, they're in this atrium area that he describes as not having a roof. It just goes up and up through a bunch of levels of the tower. And so he takes him all the way up to the top.
It's like, thank God they weren't standing 3 feet to the right and he would have clipped his head on the roof.
Right? Yeah. Now, see, I figure you live on a giant crab out in the ocean, right? One of the really big ones, bigger than a town? I had a cousin once, sure, who had a crab. He's Lopen. He goes on and on about his cousins. And who lives on a crab? No regular people, just people like you. I don't know if that's a compliment or what that is exactly, but... And they get up to the very top, and there's a window. And Talik's like, what is this? Are you trying to intimidate me? And Lopen's like, no. And he looks at Rua, who grew 6 arms and used all of them to smack his forehead at the stupidity of that idea. You know, maybe the chapter header is Rua, and that's why he's got multiple arms.
Could be. Also, I want to know what was going on back down on the ground after they flew up into the sky. The king's just like, is he bringing my guy back?
We've seen a little bit that they're like, there's some yelling and that they're upset and trying to find somebody to talk to about this. And the Lopen's like, no, you live up high on a giant crab. I figure you like heights. Isn't the view great up here? And Talik looks out and he's like, actually, yeah, that's a really cool view. See, I told Kaladin, I'm going to fly those Reshi guys up high. And Kaladin said, I don't think that's a good idea. But I didn't let him finish because I knew he was going to grumble. So I said, no, I got this, Gancho. They're going to love it. And see, you love it. And Talik's just like, I don't know what to make of you.
So another vision of the Lopen, this scene playing out. It's like, I didn't let him finish. And, you know, in Ant-Man, and it's his friend that's, like, telling the story.
Yes.
Oh, yes. God, yeah.
That's the Lopen for me. That I get.
Luis.
Yeah,
Say-
that works a
Yes.
lot better in my brain. You're right.
So her friend came to me and she said, yes.
Which that makes sense because he says that he based him on, like, his wife was like, why do fantasy worlds never have like Hispanic people? And that was like the start of the Herdazians. And so I'm like, that, as Lewis, I totally see that. And Lopen's like, so what do you think? Should I fly your king up here? I was king for sure, only a couple hours, so I don't really know what king's like. Like, wait, you were a king? Yeah, it's a long story, which we will at some point read in the King Lopen story. I still haven't decided if we should do that before Oathbringer, if we should wait on the audience to have more access to it. We'll see.
Good old King Lopen. We may never know.
And he also adds, oh, you're safe up here. If you drop, it would take a way long for you to hit. I'd catch you first. And Talik's like, that's not terribly encouraging. And Talik says that he's encouraged to find a Herdazian among the Knights Radiant. He feels like, you know, you guys often get the short end of the stick. They look down on you just like us. So I feel like, you know, maybe we can relate a little bit here.
I like that it's not just like, oh yeah, Alethi bad. Just like, no, he names all of them. It's like the Alethi, the Vedans, the Azish, like they all look down on us, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, cool. Like the Alethi don't have the monopoly on being arrogant.
100% believable. Yep. And he says, we are a proud people, the Lopen, but small and insignificant. I also like that he calls him the Lopen. Just that's how he was introduced. So there you go. And Lopen's like, or no, the guy's like, why are you guys suddenly interested in us? Like, some of the greatest kings on Roshar suddenly want to talk to us. And Lopen's like, oh, that. Yeah, they think maybe the enemy will start moving through your sea to invade, like, Yakaved. So they thought it'd be cool to have you on our side. And Talik's like, okay, so it's purely political. And Lopen's like, huh? Look, they're trying to be good, Velo. Another vocabulary word I need to look up, I guess. But they're, you know, Alethi. Conquering folks is basically their primary cultural heritage. So it's taken them time to learn to see things a different way. I love how understanding Lopen is of all of this. He's like, yeah, you know, you got to give him some slack.
Yeah. He's pretty savvy, but he's not. He's not on board with this. Like, oh yeah, you know, Alethi suck because all they want to do is conquer thing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I explained we were practically cousins, what with the Reshi Islands being so close to Herdaz. And Talik does not argue with this. He's like, no, yeah, that makes sense. And the Lopen's like, look, a lot of us, Herdaz, Reshi, even Thailana, are small, but the whole world has been invaded, not just the big places. And a lot of small people make big numbers, Velo. So that's why I want to talk to you first, to say, you know, listen to what they have to say. And Talik's like, okay, I'm going to suggest to the king he accept your advice, the Lopen. But also, I have a delicate question. Our king, who is one of my parents, has undergone some unusual physical changes. So do you guys remember the first time we met the king?
Not particularly well. I do remember it, but not
No.
small details.
So yeah, when Rysn goes to that island, you know, the same chapter where she has her injury, she meets the king. Except she goes, wait, that's a woman. Why is king? And Talik's like, it's the king. Gender, the gender doesn't change that. That's our king. And Rysn's just like, okay, weird, but whatever. But in this chapter, the king is described differently. Let's see. The king was a short man with graying hair, though his robes parted down the front to show firm pectoral muscles. So the king has, from what we can tell, changed genders.
Oh.
And, you know, we've talked before about how investiture related healing is based on how you see yourself. That's why people with old injuries can't have them healed, because they've internalized that this injury is part of me.
Okay.
So this is Brandon putting in, like,
Interesting.
a person who sees themselves as male and gets this becomes like the healing changes them into how they see themselves, essentially.
Oh.
So canon trans character in the Stormlight Archive, which a lot of people are very excited about.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Sort of makes me think of like the Matrix, like when they plug Neo back into it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, you look like this because in your head, that's how you see yourself." So
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but you can understand how from the outside, people are like, what's happening to our king? Like, this is not a thing that is normal.
yeah.
And he says the king has transformed in dramatic ways. At first we thought it was a gift of our god, as he was not born looking as he does now. But now it seems to have something to do with a spren that he's been seeing. And Lopen's like, "Ah, cool, your king's a radiant. What kind?" He can make the air seem to catch fire and sees a spren that burns inside of objects. And Lopen's like, Dustbringer, we have been looking for more of those. But don't talk to the ones we already have, okay? It's kind of complicated. We'd love to see you figure your own way without anyone interfering. Which, we only met one Dustbringer so far. She was working for Teravangian, so... he makes it sound like we've got some others, but maybe their whole order is going in a way that they're not thrilled with, so that's worrying.
Well, that one Dustbringer seemed really against the rest of the Radiants, so maybe is leading the rest of the Dustbringers astray.
Maybe. Well, and her Spren also seemed to be very upset about, what happened back in the day. So yeah, might be bad.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a very interesting day for the king. It's like, oh yeah, like had the trans undergoing. I don't know what the right terminology for this would be, but it's like, cool. I'm the gender I've always seen myself as now, and I can make fire. What a day!
Right? Yeah. All sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think Lopen's just like, it would be great to see what you guys do with this. And then he doesn't tell Kaladin about it here in a minute. He's like, oh no, that's a secret. So yeah, I don't. It's interesting to wonder where that's going to go. And the guy's like, I don't understand, which naturally Talik wouldn't. He doesn't know anything about the political situation among the Radiants. And Lopen's like, yeah, I don't either. Tell your king to talk to Dalinar about it, okay? But don't tell anyone else. It's politics, the annoying kind. And Talik's like, is there any other kind? I like you, fellow. Lopen's found a buddy. It's great.
Well, just like, again, this is like why Wax and Wayne were so good friends. No matter what Wayne came up with, like Wax is just like, all right, I'll deal with it. And that seems to be where Talik is, like with the Lopen. It's like, he's just acting kind of weird. It's like, whatever, that's just him.
Yeah. Pretty
much. It's fine. They get each other. They're cousins or whatever. I love in a minute when Kaladin's like, we're neighbors with Herdaz too. That would make us cousins. He's like, yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I love that because like in just a couple paragraphs, he introduces Kaladin. He's like, "This is Talik, my cousin. He's sure the king's son. Treat him well, Gancho." This is how the Lopen has so many cousins. We wondered about this in the past, I think.
Yeah, he's just like everybody on the planet's cousins. Come on, guys, it's not that hard.
He brings Talik back to the floor, and he says a number of his friends were arguing loudly with some of Dalinar's soldiers, and there were anger spren pooling around them on the ground, gesturing at the sky. And Lopen goes, poor guys, probably sad they didn't get to fly too. Yeah, that's what it was, man.
I love that the Lopen can be so sharp and on to things in so many ways, and then completely oblivious in others. On you, mate.
I find it hard. I'm not sure how legitimate, even in his own head, this is, or if that's just him being sarcastic or something in his own head. Or maybe it really is that Lopen is just like, I think flying is awesome. Everyone would clearly think flying is awesome, so obviously that's why they're upset. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he just took Talik for a fly, and Talik was just like, all right, yeah, that was pretty cool, so he's been vindicated there.
True. Yeah. And Kaladin's like, I hope Lopen's tour of the tower was informative. And Talik's like, what tour? And Lopen's like, shh. Lopen was supposed to take them on a tour, but spent too long at lunch.
I love that. It's just like, oh yeah, tour. Yeah, we didn't do that. Hey, shh. Hey, don't say anything about it. And then even though he just met him, the guy backs him up. He's like, oh yeah, it was great.
And Huio was supposed to be here too. Kaladin's like, I was counting on Huio to rein you in a little, Lopen. That's a different guy.
Yeah, David Thewlis.
We not long ago finished Harry Potter book 3 with the boys, and so Lupin is in my brain, I guess.
Fair enough.
It's a good one.
Yeah, we're into book 4 now. Huio was busy, so I went on my own. And Kaladin's like, dude, you have to start thinking more about the stuff you do and say, please. He's like, yeah, I will, whatever. Look, everything turned out all right, Gancho. This Talik guy, he's good. Take care of him. Also, the rest of you have a secret you'll find interesting, and they might tell you if you're nice. And he's like, why don't you tell me? I can't, Gancho. They told me in confidence. Lopen, you were specifically supposed to be finding out stuff about this group for us. It's like, yeah, and I did. But I can't betray their secrets. They're my cousins, gone.
I love that. It's like, yeah, I found out the stuff you wanted me to find out, but it's it's a secret.
And yeah, that's where he's like, Alethkar is next to Herdaz too. So I guess I'm your cousin just as much as them. And Lopen's like, now you're getting it, Gancho. All right, good job.
Good talk, Kaladin. See you later.
And then Kaladin's like, okay, whatever. Look, I've got a special mission that the Queen needs some Windrunners for. Lopen's like, ooh, pick me. I want to do that. You don't even know what it is. I'm still volunteering. It sounds special, which, if you'll recall, is how Lopen got into Bridge 4 in the first place. So it fits. It's like, yeah, we're sending another mission to Akina. And he's like, oh, that's that place that Leighton dropped in the ocean? So apparently Leighton, Lynn, and Sigzil had gone and barely managed to get Leighton out of the water before he drowned. Because apparently Alethi can't swim? I mean, and Sigzil's ace-ish. I guess it seems like he can't swim either. Because he says, we're going to send Windrunners who can swim, and that means you and Huio. And Lopen goes, pick me! I literally just did. I know, that was for old time's sake.
Just to be inside the brain.
I don't know why that's one of my favorite exchanges. Pick me! I literally just picked you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man. And he wants to send Rock, because Rock can also swim. And Lopen's like, nah, Rock's not going to go. But what about Cord? She can also see Spren. And she wants to see more stuff, so...
Hold on. Like, Lopen's like, Rock won't go because next week's his anniversary with his wife. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, look at Lopen keeping up with his buddies and, they're important times.
Yeah, I like how Kaladin doesn't know that. He's like, I don't know about anything about Rock.
He probably relies on Sigzil to do it.
Yeah. Although, this is one of those things where it's like they mention Rock, they mention he's got an anniversary, but like we know some crummy stuff happened at the end of last book, so like how's he dealing with that? But we don't know.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, we don't actually see Rock in these chapters, and unless we come back here at the end of the book, it doesn't seem likely that we will. But we are apparently going to see more of his daughter Cord, so that's kind of cool. And Kaladin's like, I'm worried about this mission. Something's wrong. I wish I could go myself. And we get a whole thing about how Kaladin's like in charge of the ever-growing number of Windrunners, and now a bunch of the original crew are picking up their own squires, so the numbers are just ballooning, and Kaladin is the one man in charge of all of it, so he can't be everywhere anymore. Although that seems like a good thing for the war effort, that we've got lots of Windrunners showing up.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Kaladin. He's like, I need to be at the center of everything. It's like, Kaladin, take a step back.
Yeah, according to the 1-star review people, they agree.
That's true. Yep.
Look, I love Kaladin. Don't get me wrong. He's easily, he's neck and neck with my favorite characters in Stormlight Archive. But it's very clear that this is an ensemble.
I wonder if now you got me thinking. Are there lots of 1-star reviews of Dawnshard?
Yeah, they're like, Kaladin was only in it for 5 seconds. Sucks. Don't like it.
There are 177 1-star reviews of this book out of 139,975.
So not many.
So that is a very small percentage.
Are these people who have picked up Dawnshard thinking it's a standalone thing? Because it would not make sense to anybody.
It's like, I don't understand anything that's happening.
It's like, who are these characters? What is the Lopen?
That is 0.1%, by the way.
Half the 1-star reviews are just like, I don't understand what's going on. And the other half are just like, this is a Joey heavy episode anyway.
Okay, I'm just going to stop for a second. The most liked of these reviews on Goodreads, Sanderson's style of writing here is just too Americanized for my liking. I find the characters boring and the storyline uninteresting, and I don't like Lopen, find him cringe.
Oh, man, if you don't like the Lopen, I mean, what kind of person are you?
I'm the biggest hater, as I know all of this is what people like about Sanderson.
It's like, his writing's too Americanized. Well, yeah, he's American.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you expect exactly, my dude.
Yeah, I never get comments like that, because it's like, if he was going for something extremely stylized and un-American, that would make sense, but that's not what's happening.
There's a Canadian comedy band that I've liked for ages called the Arrogant Worms. Very, very funny. Encourage you to look them up. And there was one of their, like, one track I found long time ago. It's like they're doing a live show and they said, "Oh yeah, this song was inspired by a review we got, which we thought was rather unique. It's like the review said we had too much Canadian content, so we've written this song called 'Forgive Us, We're Canadian.'"
Yeah. It's like, I mean, that'd like be me saying, Tolkien, ugh, he's just such a British. It's too British.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dude, guys, British.
Yeah, it's like you can say, I don't really like American writing, and that's one thing, but to say an American writer's writing is too Americanized, like, what?
What are we talking about here? I feel like that was my catchphrase during the whole 1-star review episode we did last time. I was like, what are we talking about here?
I'm going to read a bunch of these. We're not doing a whole episode, but the one other one of these 1-star reviews I want to call out. The biggest problem is Talik changes his sex to a woman, which I guess, spoiler, we're not going to have another sex change by a character in this family in this book. So I think somebody didn't understand exactly what was happening there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, why is that the biggest problem? I don't. First of all, they're wrong. First of all, they're wrong, right?
First, it's just wrong. Yeah.
First, it's incorrect.
Why is that a problem?
Yeah.
People, man.
Yeah.
Anyway. The chapter ends with Kaladin be like, hey, make sure you come back. Also, talk to Huio and Cord, make sure they're willing to go along, and then report to Rushu. You're going to accompany her. And be careful. Ancho, I'm always careful. Are you? Of course. What, you think this happens by accident? He says, pointing to himself. Okay.
I'm sorry. Like, how can you not like the Lopen?
Yeah.
I want to use that now. It's like,
you think this happens by accident? I feel like that is something you'd say when somebody's like putting you down. It's like, what, you think this happens by accident?
Yeah, it's like, of course that was intentional. What are you talking about? And then the chapter ends with him. He's going to go and make fun of Huio because I've been sent on a special mission before I eventually tell him he's going also. What a great guy.
Huio's going to look at him and just go, Bridge 4.
Bridge 4. Exactly. That's all Huio's. I assume that probably if they're chatting back and forth, they're doing it in Herdazian and Huio can get involved. But
I know, but I'm fairly certain we've never heard Huio say anything else.
Bridge 4.
I think you might be right, yeah.
He doesn't know Alethi except for Bridge 4.
Well, we're told when we first meet him, he doesn't know much Alethi. And actually, I think we're told in this book that Rock is like, yeah, like when he's talking about how everyone, or in this book, I say, in Oathbringer, he's talking about how like a lot of Bridge 4 has been coming and telling them they feel like they don't fit in with the group anymore. And Huio speaks up there and it's like, me, Alethi, not good, or something like simple like that to explain why he feels like he's not fitting in. Oh, poor guy.
Bridge
of course,
4.
Now a bunch of Lopen's cousins are apparently part of Bridge 4 now, so maybe you don't feel so left out.
It's got to be one of those things where Kaladin's like walking by, and it's like, who are all these people? I've never seen them before. Lopen's like, oh, they're my cousins. They're part of Bridge 4 now. He's just like, all right, whatever.
By this logic, everyone is Lopen's cousin.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that exact scene happened at least twice that we saw where he shows up. Like,
it's just the books are so long, I just can't remember.
But I guess now with so many new Windrunners, he's probably used to that at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
We got some more people today, and Lopen's cousins may all be getting their own squires, so we might have a bunch of Herdazians in the Windrunners now. We go back to Rysn for chapter 4 and learn some stuff about the naval traditions and how ship ownership, as we talked about before, more complicated than just I'm the owner. It's a whole thing.
I mean, there's sort of elements I've seen in this before. I think, was it the Ron Howard movie about the real life Moby Dick? It had Chris Hemsworth in it. Hemsworth was like the working class guy expecting to get given the captaincy of the ship, and then they gave it to some rich dude instead who just assumed the captaincy, and Hemsworth and the crew were just like, fuck this guy. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's like it's a bit more complicated here, but I can see the basis for it.
Yeah. In the heart of the sea.
That's the one.
I'd never even heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's got actually it's not. Yeah, it's got a pretty good cast. Chris Hemsworth, Cillian Murphy, Tom Holland, Brendan Gleeson.
Tom Holland in that picture, huh?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Like, it's not the best movie ever, but I enjoyed watching it. I would watch it again.
I do like Brendan Gleeson. He's usually pretty fun.
He's the framing device.
I think honestly, my least favorite Brendan Gleeson performance is Mad Eye Moody.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't like him for that character.
Oh, I
I
him
love
in
the
that,
actor. I love the
Yeah.
actor. I don't feel like he was quite right for that character.
Yeah. He's my favorite actor, and I'm like, the only thing I've disliked him in was Troy, and that was because Troy as a movie is
I forgot he was in that. Yeah, that movie's especially on a rewatch. It's not great.
Oh,
I never saw
ew.
Troy.
I
You're a lot
have
happier
it.
that way.
It was very popular when I was in high school because that's when it came out.
Mm.
You know, it's the height of Brad Pitt being hot, so like all the girls liked it because it was Brad Pitt.
also-
All the guys liked it because it was actiony.
Also,
Oh,
that
Orlando
was
Bloom
like
was in it, so that
Yeah.
had
That's
the other
right.
girls.
Old
that was like
Bloom.
that was like when he was really coming into his own as a
Yeah.
heartthrob as well.
Yeah, Eric Bana was in it, which some ladies like him as well.
It had a massive cast. Sean Bean was in it and didn't die.
Mm.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That doesn't happen every day.
Did he play Odysseus? Is that who he was?
He was Odysseus, yeah.
Yeah.
Odysseus, one of the few that will survive that went on that trip. So,
Yep.
yeah. Now I'm looking at the list of Brendan Gleeson roles. I didn't see Joker Folie à Deux either, but apparently he's in that.
Oh, he's in that.
Yeah, he is in that.
It's Dak. You're just like,
It says
Yeah,
he's in
just
Spider
resigned.
Noir.
Yes, he is.
Let me
Like
look up
the-
old Brendan Gleeson here. Hold on.
I mean,
That's
In Bruges is still like. The
Oh
greatest.
yeah, In Bruges, Banshees of Inisherin. I appreciated it for its like allegoricalness, but as a movie, I don't know that I loved it.
That's fair.
I don't remember ever having heard of The Guard, which is a buddy cop movie with him and Don
Oh,
Cheadle,
dude.
but now I want to see that.
No, I've talked about that before. The guy
have
is
you?
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'll have to watch it. Back in 2011.
yeah. That's like, in fact, after In Bruges, that's probably his second.
Wow, yeah, I gotta see it. Oh man, not only Don Cheadle, but Mark Strong's in it too. Sweet. Oh, and Liam Cunningham, dude.
Yeah, man.
I gotta see that one. Yeah.
Don Cheadle needs more out front in the lead roles that are fun.
I
I
agree.
mean, he's had
I know
some
people make
good,
fun of his
really good dramatic
terrible-
stuff, but
Yeah, I know people make fun of his terrible accent in the Ocean's movies, but like those are some of my favorite performances of his.
He was-
I
but you can
love
tell
him in the
he's
Ocean.
having fun.
I do
in
love
it.
those movies.
He's
Yeah,
having such a good time.
right.
It'd be great working with proper villains again. Oh, I love that. He's all right, anyway, let's.
Oh yeah, he's
Before
in
we-
Gangs in New York as well. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Before we move from Brendan Gleeson into Don
No, this is the
Cheadle, we
Brendan
keep going
Gleeson
down the-
podcast now. That's what I've decided. I never saw Paddington, but quality
Aw.
family film.
Apparently,
man.
Paddington 2 is like the best movie ever. So
I mean, the
Yeah.
first two are phenomenal. The third one's all right, but it's a bit of a step down.
I think the whole reason we watched Paddington 2 was because of
Unbearable
the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's a bit of that.
where they talk
It's
about it
like-
a lot.
yeah. it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. We
Pedro-
watched it and I was like, oh my god, they're right.
Yeah, Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal's just like, Paddington 2, and Nick Cage is like, fucking really? That's one of your favorite movies all time? He's like, dude, it's a masterpiece. Cut to them watching it, and Nick Cage is sobbing. And he's like, this is a masterpiece. I fucking told you!
See,
I
I
think-
also considered watching it after that, and I never did. I saw the third one in theaters with the kids, but I never saw the first or second.
I
Oh
think
man, you
Nick
gotta watch the
Cage-
first two.
I think that movie is like it's such a weird like Nick Cage is Nick Cage, but he's not Nick Cage. Like I think it's one of my favorite Nick Cage films of all time.
I love that
Yeah,
movie. It's so fun.
It's amazing.
That's. I like a dramatic movie every now and then, but that is the kind of movie that I just love, where it's like we're having fun, and you're gonna have fun at this movie because we're having so
Deal
much
with
fun.
it.
That is one of my favorite. Sort of like Scott Pilgrim is also like that, where it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're insane, we're having an amazing time, and you're gonna have a good time, and I do love
Yeah.
that
Yep.
kind of movie.
Big
Okay,
fan.
okay.
Why wouldn't you be?
Brendan Gleeson could play Vistum. I could see that actually. Anyway, sorry, I've just Vistum's name popped up on when I'm looking back in the book. I was like, oh, that would work. There's a whole thing about like the ship's steering wheel and how you have to. It's a symbolic thing where the captain lets you do it, but you can't ask. That's not allowed. And people, like the captain in particular, but the whole crew to some extent seems to have issues with their ship owner. And we don't know why for the first like chapter and a half of this stuff, but she had some carpentry changes made so that she has like a seat to sit in up on the deck where she's not in the way, but she can be out there and watching everything. And everyone's just like, why don't you just go to your cabin? Like, why do you need to be out here? The captain
Real
like,
naysayers out here.
shoots her some looks, and Like, don't you want to be in out of the spray and stuff?
I totally get, like, doing the research, being like, this is like what I've heard from people that are disabled, and like I want to represent them. But I think because it's a novella, it's like really thrown in your face here.
It is a bit. I will say I agree that it is a bit, but at the same time, for me, it makes sense that if we're in her head,
right,
these thoughts would be very prevalent in there.
Yeah, makes sense.
And like her porter, Nickley, is like annoyed with the crew and the captain. Like, man, they don't treat you well enough.
Let's cast Nickley, because every time I was reading this, I was thinking like this like reminds me of an actor, but I can't place it. Maybe for some reason, even though it's not really similar, and maybe it's because I've been watching Buffy lately, this reminds me of Wesley Wyndham Pryce.
Wow, I would not have thought that. Okay.
Like that, I don't know, something about the way he talks, the way he like is kind of snooty. Like, I don't know, just it hits me that way. But again, maybe it's because I've been watching Buffy. What about you guys? Is there like did something jump out at you when you're reading Nickley? Because I feel like it's such like it's a thing.
I didn't really have anything jump out at me. Of all the people we might have cast in this episode, this was not the character I would have expected.
I had to go back to the description of Nickley because he's from somewhere in the western Makabaki region, which is going to mean he has dark skin because the Makabaki have dark skin. He had trouble finding work. He stood out because he has face and arm tattoos. So, I don't know. I'm trying to picture that now. I don't know.
That is a tricky one. Like all the tattoos and everything, and like combined with dark skin, it's like maybe a Maori actor.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Another.
It's gonna upset you, Dak, but from a darker skin and tattoos, I was like, oh, The Rock.
just Nickley is Maui from Moana. Actually, yeah,
that'd be a very
Lord.
strange. That'd be very strange.
I mean, one of Nickley's jobs is to carry her around. So
Nickley would just spend the whole book just going, but I'm the main character.
No, yeah.
The reason I brought up Buffy brought up that up because I was watching Buffy. In general, I finished Elementary, so it's like, oh man, good ending. Let me go watch something that I never finished. So I started watching Buffy again. I was like, I never finished Buffy or Angel.
Oh, you never finished Buffy? Wow.
No, I got to think of the 5th season and then I stopped. So I'm gonna watch. I'm in the 3rd season. Once that ends, I'll start like watching Angel and Buffy side by side. I'm gonna skip most of the 1st season of Angel because I remember it not being very good, and then I'll watch like the episodes in the 1st season that like correspond to episodes of Buffy, and then just move on from there.
Season 5 is a little bit of a weird one for Buffy, but it's not.
It's probably why I stopped watching it. I can't really recall what was going on.
It's not where I would probably think I would have fallen off. The 1st episode is Buffy versus Dracula. So
yes, I think I fell off when what's the blonde demon chick's name? That's like the main villain for a while.
Oh, in
Glory?
Season 5, Glory is the main villain.
Yes, I think Glory is where I fell off. I started watching the Glory episodes. It's like, I'm not into this.
Oh, that must also be the season where Dawn first shows up, I guess. Because
yes,
Glory is looking for Dawn, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a while since I did a watch through of Buffy, so I'm trying to piece together what exactly.
Yeah. 3rd season is like they graduate high school at the end. 4th season's college.
Yeah. See, when she first starts college, there's some stuff that also that's the season with Hush, which is one of the best episodes. But I don't like the bad guys that season. I don't like her boyfriends that season.
No, her boyfriend.
That's a season I could have
guy's not great. Yeah. Anyway, that was our Buffy moment.
Buffy sidetrack. Also, we're taking a lot of tangents today. It's cool. That's what we do.
You know what? It's all right. It's Dawnshard.
So yeah, I think Nickley probably has to be kind of burly since part of her job or his job, is carrying Rysn around places where the chair can't go. So the more I think, the more this picture of The Rock or Maui actually works for me. But maybe that's also why, like, when you're saying Wesley Wyndham Pryce, I was like, in my mind, it's like dark skin, bunch of tattoos. That is not an association I have with Wesley. So I was like, wait.
Yeah, it wasn't the look so much as like the personality,
the snootiness. Yeah, no, I get it. And the first thing the captain says when they come on board is, "You shouldn't be here. You should stay. There's no reason for you to come on this trip." And Rysn's like, yeah, thanks, but not gonna happen." And the captain's like, "I mean, you do trade negotiations. There won't be any trade negotiations. There will just be danger. So why are you coming? You don't need to be here." And she's like, "Well, I own the ship, so screw you." I feel like that's what she wants to say. It's not what
Yes,
she's
here
saying.
I am.
And yeah, I love that. Yes.
Is our blockade legal? I will make it legal. That's just, Trade Federation negotiations.
Yeah. And let's see. I like Nickley's suggestion is, you know what? Why don't we just get rid of the whole crew and find a better crew that's not assholes? And Rysn's like, "No, I'm gonna. This crew is made up of Vistam's best, most trusted people, and they trained on this ship before it was even formally commissioned. No one can sail the ship better than them. So we're not gonna use somebody else. We'll just have to figure this stuff out." And we get a note about how this war has brought up some new stuff. The man at arms is like, "It's always good to have a windrunner around, because we have Voidbringers who can fly, and they can just go up in the air and drop a giant rock on a ship and sink it. So a counter to that is very useful." But Rysn notes right away that the sailors are on edge, just from how they're almost too excited to see the windrunners. And she's like, "Captain, why is everybody nervous?" And she's like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing." "Well, tell me anyway. The ship's pet sky eel, good for hunting rats, was found dead this morning. It's a bad omen." Yeah, it's not a great start to your trip. Having the windrunner is going to be a counter omen to the bad omen of this morning. It's like, all right, whatever gets you guys through it, And then, I guess it only took us like half a chapter to get there. Rysn's like, "Hey, tell the crew that nobody has to come if they don't want to. No punishment. They can join us again when we come back. Anyone who has misgivings about this trip can stay." And the captain doesn't like this, but the owner is the boss in this situation. So it's like, okay, fine. And that's when she figures out why they all don't like her. The ship was in progress. These people were on the ship long before Vistam gave it to her. "Captain, you thought you were going to get this ship, didn't you?" And the captain's like, "What? No sailor would presume that someone like Vistam would give them a ship." It's like, "Yeah, but you thought." And the captain gives like a little tiny nod. And Rysn's like, "That's why. Everyone thinks that I stole this right out from under the captain that they all love."
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's understandable why the sailors might not be happy about that, even if that's not really true. And Nickley's take is like, "Oh, they're spoiled children, angry that someone would dare earn an appointment above them." And
See,
Rysn's
these are the Wesley Wyndham Prize vibes.
Yeah. Rysn's like, "Look, you have to look at it from their point of view. Also, you didn't know me back when I was an apprentice, but I was a little shit. I was the most spoiled child, complaining all the time. And even if these guys didn't see it firsthand, they would have heard about it. So basically, I'm going to have to earn their trust the same way Vistam did." And Nickley's still here like, "I don't know. I think they're jerks. We should just get new people. They don't like me. I have weird tattoos. I'm a foreigner. I tried talking to them, but..." This is where Rysn suggests, "Hey, if you want to, kind of get in with them, ask them about Sailor Spren. What would that do?" And she's like, "It's like this hazing ritual." It's like, "What? No, I don't want to be hazed." And she's like, "Look, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. It's like, we go into a whole thing about hazing and how they tried to stamp it out, and it really just kind of makes it worse and more dangerous. So you kind of unofficially approve of it in ways that are safe and don't do too much damage to anybody." And Rysn calls it an imperfect solution for an imperfect world. Only 3 crew members took the offer to stay behind, but one of them was the cook. But hey, good news. One of the companion of the Radiance says that she's an excellent cook. So we can have her be the cook.
I mean, they say that. Lopen says he missed the whole delegation from the rest of the Isles because of her cooking.
I mean, maybe because it was just so
It
good.
was so bad.
Oh, I thought he meant it wasn't very good.
I don't.
Because maybe he was so used to Rox cooking, he's like, "Man, your daughter's just not as good as cooking at you."
I want to go back and read that bit and see.
I might have misread it. My bad.
No, maybe you are right and I'm wrong here. Let's see. It wasn't Lopen's fault he'd spent so long at lunch. He blamed Cord's cooking. I guess you could read that either way. Yeah. I just assumed, but you're right. You could totally read it. Okay, so yeah. I guess maybe we'll find out as we go if whether or not she's inherited Rock's ability to cook. Chapter 5. What do we get here? The Lopen is has shattered a lot of her preconceptions about what Radiants are like. She's tried to talk to the crew, but they're very distant. She recognizes that resentment now, but still, even in addition to that, she's the owner of the ship, so that makes her kind of unapproachable. The Lopen does not have that problem. Oh, this is where she talks about the solemn, quiet man that she'd visited to see if her legs could be healed. He'd been aloof, despite his obvious compassion for her situation. I was like, that seems like a Renarin description to me, for sure.
Absolutely Renarin.
Very much.
She'd seen the Windrunners flying around during the battle and pictured them as like heroic figures larger than life, as if cut from stone, sculpted like statues. And Lopen's like, on the ground, on his hands and knees. You gotta have 2 hands to crawl properly. I came up with my own version, sure, when I had only 1 hand, but it's just he definitely makes them seem less distant, for sure. And she's like, look, if I got my legs back, I don't think crawling would be top of my list of what I would be excited about. He's like, yeah, maybe, but it's nice to make people laugh at you for something you do and not something you can't control, you know? And Rysn's like, I feel like that's kind of a hit out of nowhere after he's being so silly, where she's like, yeah, actually, I do know what you mean. And I love her note where, like, as I mentioned before, all the captains like keep staring at her, and all the crew's just like, I mean, why don't you go and be in your cabin? Don't you want to get out of the seawater spraying your face and the wind? And she's like, they say this with a straight face, while they themselves are being hit with wind and seawater, and don't see the hypocrisy in this.
I guess for them it's their job, whereas it's not hers.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is hers on some level, like sailing around and making deals, but you're right, she could be in her cabin.
Yeah.
Let's see. Know any good no-legged Thalen jokes? The Lopen asks. And she's like, no, not really. None worth sharing. It's like, one-legged jokes seem easier. What do you call a one-legged Thalen? Lean? No, it's too close to a real name. Or not close enough to a real name. And Rushu's over here like, Lopen, seriously, don't stop tormenting Brightness Rysn. Why? I know. Why was the no-legged Thalen unhappy? Because she'd been defeated. And then he goes to tell that joke to Huio, but has to translate it into Herdazian, where the same pun doesn't work. So then he has to explain why it's funny. And Huio has spent most of the trip like doing sailor stuff, and he's actually really good at it. And Rushu's over here like, that's not appropriate, Lopen. Sorry, Brightness, you shouldn't have to listen to like this unseemly mockery of your ailment. But Lopen kind of has Rysn's number better than Rushu, which shouldn't be a surprise considering, they have this shared experience in some ways. It's like, unseemly is how people treat us sometimes. Rysn, they ever ask you how it happened and then get angry if you don't want to discuss it? And she's like, oh shit, all the time, man.
Oh yeah, like the way that was phrased, I'm just like, oh, yep, bullseye.
Mm. And then they bond. It's like, he's also like, I hate it when they act like I'm gonna break at any moment. And she's like, yeah, like I'm a fragile vase that will tip over on the shelf if upset. And Lopen's like, yeah, they act so uncomfortable. They don't want to look, but they don't want to bring it up, but it hovers around the conversation. But if you have the right joke, and this is where Rushu's like, Brightness Rysn shouldn't have to crack jokes at her own expense in order to make other people comfortable with their own insecurities. And Lopen goes, yep, true. She shouldn't have to. And Rushu does not get the subtle emphasis on the words there and just nods like, yep, I'm glad you agree with me. And then Rysn kind of gets into it and starts coming up with her own jokes. And the Lopen's just laughing and has to go tell Huio the jokes again. And then finally Rushu, it's been like a week, I think it says, or more, and Rushu's finally ready for a demonstration of the technology. And Lopen's over here like, you were probably prepared for days, but what, you get distracted wondering how fish breathe? And Rushu's like, dude, we know how fish breathe. No, I got distracted reading other stuff. And we had a little demonstration of, we knew about the conjoined fabrials before, how you split the ruby in half, and you can make them both move in the same way. That's how span reads work. We saw them do this with the platforms before, where, you could raise one up from far away and it raises the one on the battlefield. But they've recently discovered how to move them in opposite directions. So you lower something and it raises the one on the battlefield. And there's some technical explanation, but it's probably not anything we need to get deep into. We do get what I found really interesting, because I thought immediately, like, but wait, like, how does this hoop thing work on a ship that's moving all the time? And you can't do span read from ship to shore, because then the movement is very different. But on the ship, both things are moving in the same way. She's like, but wait, you gave me a thing that's supposed to make it move opposite. If the ship goes one way, shouldn't it go the other? And she's like, theoretically, but apparently it doesn't. It has to do with the frame of reference as applied to the person moving the hoop.
So there's like an application of will and personal circumstances, I guess, that affect it, as well as just the magic itself.
I think it's will might be a way to talk about it. I think we're again in looking at perception, how they're seeing it is affecting how it's working, which is, we talked about it in Era 2 of Mistborn, because Wayne can use his speed bubble on a train that's moving, and it doesn't like screw up the train. It moves with the train, even though speed bubbles can't move because of
It's like it's linked to the train, not the surroundings.
Well, it's like for Wayne at that moment, the train floor is the ground. The train is not moving in comparison to him. So because of his perception of it, it does that. I think this is the same thing. The way they're perceiving it affects how the magic works, which is getting into some deep magic theorizing that people work on this Cosmere stuff. But it's interesting to me, at least.
The physics of it.
Yeah. And I like Rysn's like, that doesn't really make sense, but clearly, like, from what I can see, she's right in what she's saying. I just don't get it. And I love Lopen's over here. Okay, so how's this going to help? Oh, are we going to stick those to her legs and then another person walks around and it'll be like she's walking around? And they're like, no, what?
I like his idea.
Just
make her a puppet
for you. It's like, no, but we can like put him on her chair and make the chair hover. And Lowen's like, oh, that does make sense, but seemed disappointed. It's like, that's so less cool.
We're just going Professor X on this, going from the wheelchair to a hover chair.
Yeah. And Rysn realizes, like, oh, well, I mean, that's cool, but is it really worthwhile? It doesn't do much. I'd still need people to move me around. And so she had these kind of hopes that she didn't say out loud or anything, but she was finding out about these amazing things that these Fabrials could do. Maybe they can do these amazing things for me. And now it's like, oh, well, I mean, it's cool, but it's not really where my hopes were. And Rushi's like, well, I mean, there's still some stuff that we could do for you. What if we could make a thing that raised you up and lowers you down from the quarterdeck? You can do that with a counterweight in a crank, basically, that the crew could crank up periodically. We could make you go high as the eel's nest for a good view. And Rysn's like, I mean, that is cool. I would love to be involved in those experiments, but still not what she's hoping. And then we had a couple of details about aluminum. She's brought some foil to do some tests because it blocks span read communication, something we only recently discovered, which that I assume that came directly out of the Kholinar thing, because we saw
It would have had to, yeah.
Yeah, they were using the soulcasters inside an aluminum lined room so that they couldn't be detected, but you couldn't use a span read out of there.
So I guess like aluminum is just basically the block all for everything.
It is the anti-magic.
Yeah, it like cancels out, I guess, magic in general.
In the Cosmere, aluminum is the anti-fun.
I swear this is all just a massive joke on like tinfoil hats and how they...
Yeah, it's got to be.
I feel like, that's got to be where it started, right? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting too technical, aren't I? And Lopen's like, wait, hold on. I need an explanation. How do fish breathe? She's like, what the... Oh my gosh, okay. And then the chapter ends with the captain gets what seems to be a very disturbing message and is not going to mention anything to Rysn until she looks and sees Rysn staring directly at her. It's like, shit, okay, fine, I'll tell him. And Rysn goes, what's wrong? And the captain says, dark soul casting and bad omens. You should probably see it in person. And that's where we end. So that leaves you guys with some fun things to try to predict. Let's move into predicaments. Where are we going with this new novella that we've already read a fourth of at this point? So let me look at what chapters we're doing for next time. Apparently I have my spreadsheet closed. Give me 1 second. For next time, we are doing only 4 chapters, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen?
So the mention of dark soul casting, like, I remembered like when we like the other chapter where like the people went to Amia, where the ghost ship like originated from. So like the perspective character for that was a soulcaster. Like she had stolen a soulcaster from like the palace and was taking it with it. So okay, I guess when the crab people finished her off, I guess they kept the soulcaster. And so maybe when like the reason they didn't scuttle the ship entirely was because, well, you know, we don't want to crawl along the ocean floor just to get back to civilization. So they left the ship like sailing, and the Kremlings were just hiding on the ship. And so now maybe those Kremlings have formed into a new person, and they're on this ship, and they're using that soulcaster just to try and, you know, stop the voyage from going to where it needs to go, because we've seen them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they might be on the ship. There was the thing about, oh, you know, last time they were the cook, and this time it's like, oh, we've got it. Like the cook stayed behind. That's all right. We've got a new cook. So maybe they were planning to like do the old poison trick again, but then they brought Cord on board. Like, well, that plan just got ruined. We'll have to try something else.
Maybe somebody was like, I'll volunteer to be the cook, and then but somebody beat them to it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now the Kremlings are just hiding on the boat with the soulcaster, or they're pretending to be someone. Like they've done the old kill and replace or something. I don't know. But yeah,
Okay.
Kremlings on board with the soulcaster doing something.
I mean, that's interesting. When we talked about it earlier, I almost said something about like, could they still be on board? Except that I'm like, but I mean, could they? Because it says that they tried to sink the ship, and I assumed you would leave after that, or if you hadn't left, you would see that you were not successful in sinking the ship and try it again. But you make a good point. It could be like, I don't want to be stuck in the middle of the ocean, so
it's a long swim home.
Yeah, okay, fair.
But yeah, so maybe they just made it look like it to throw people off the scent, and just like, oh, you know, like the people who tried to scuttle it failed. But in reality, it's like, we actually don't want to sink the boat. We wanted to get taken back so we can get back to civilization.
Sneaky. Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
See, now I had just was probably they were approaching a destination, whether it be their final destination for the voyage or not, I don't know. But I really like Dak's idea more. This sounds super fun. They towed the boat back originally. It wouldn't be a far leap to say, hey, this person's now on the crew. Yeah, a little bit of an onboard mystery. It sounds super fun. Yeah, my thoughts were just that they were sort of approaching the islands of where they needed to get to. I think in my head, I'm like, this is definitely a shorter story than what we've been reading. I'm trying to calibrate my brain to accommodate for a shorter story. I would expect us not to spend a heap of time on the boat, but we've probably got a little bit more time. Yeah, maybe if they're on board and there's dark magic. I mean, you've got the sky eel, the ship's sky eel was found dead now, what would be a couple of weeks ago. Is it Chiri?
Chiri is the Larkin, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also not doing so great. Is it possible that, they've been around for a little while and having a negative reaction to that? Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that could be affecting it. They've just been playing with the Fabrials as well, so maybe the Soulcaster is having, if they're trying dark soulcasting. I don't think we've ever heard of dark soulcasting before.
No.
Maybe having the other Fabrials on board and being in use is affecting it somehow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot else, I guess, for the immediate future. I was thinking, at the very start, that I would really like it to have Rysn, be able to be healed at some point. Now reflecting back on, yeah, it makes sense. It's sort of who you see yourself as. I was like, the Lopen had only one arm for a very long time. That was very much a part of his identity. And I mean, all that time of learning to crawl, with one arm. I mean, he'd committed to it. But I guess realistically, he always thought of himself as being able to have another arm, or remembering that. But I mean, Rysn's been a couple of years without the use of her legs. Surely she would, remember and want that. But I don't know. She spent so much time now learning to live with it. Maybe she won't. Maybe she will stay. Maybe she can't be healed. I was like, I'd like her to be able to use her words, use her words again. That would be, I think, better and probably preferable for her. But she's definitely put a lot of work into making sure that she can function mostly without assistance. So
Right.
yeah.
So there's actually a lot of in the fandom talk about exactly that with Lopen when he regrew his arm, where it's like, wait a second, if you can't heal wounds, they're old. Lopen lost his arm a long time ago. How is he able to grow a new arm? And there were a couple of camps in people theorizing about this. One is Lopen is just a special guy in that he never accepted or thought of himself as one-armed. He does mental gymnastics about that maybe other people aren't capable of to the same level, because yet Lopen's a weird dude. The other side being, maybe if you are a Radiant, the healing is different than if you are just healed by a Radiant.
Yeah.
I think that's what I thought was the case, was that because he's a Radiant and he's healing himself, it's different.
And I think eventually Brandon did
Yeah, same.
confirm that it is that. It is, as a Radiant, he can heal things that other people would not be able, like, couldn't have healed. I'm pretty sure
On
Brandon has
himself,
confirmed that is the
though.
case. Yeah, on himself, right.
On himself, yeah.
My thought about that too is because not all Radiant powers can heal, but they can heal themselves no matter what. So
Yeah, right. And so the healing yourself is kind of another level from the healing of other people in this case, and that's why if somebody else if like Renarin had tried to heal Lopen, he wouldn't probably not have been able to regrow an arm. But
Interesting. Okay.
so yeah, so
unless Rysn turns out to also be Radiant, she's pretty well
yes.
stuck now.
So if Rysn could like bond a Spren and become a Radiant, then she probably also could recover from that. But yeah. Also, I like you pointing out that we've got now the mystery on the ship, and I was like, that Jamie will be the one, the true crime fan will be the one who's like, oh, we maybe not a murder mystery on the ship, maybe not yet, who knows, but we've got a mystery to solve, and that'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the way Dak was wording at the end of the prediction, I was like, this sounds like a Cluedo prediction. Or Clue. I think you might just call it Clue. Yeah, I'm here for it. I love it.
Nice. We don't even know what the mystery is, but you're like, I'm ready for a mystery. So okay, yeah, cool.
So with the mystery, let's go.
yeah, I like both of what you guys are saying. I like that mystery aspect. I was I was completely setting up for like a spooky ghost island creepy adventure, and so I'm hoping that's the direction that this is going. And if I'm remembering correctly, if it's the same island that we read about in like what are the little bits between the book called again?
Interludes.
Yeah, in one of the interludes. Then it's like those, aren't they those critters that turn into a bunch of tiny critters?
Yeah. Yep.
So like they could easily do like some spooky ghost stuff, like make people think that there's some creepy stuff going on. So I'm here for it. I'm here for like a horror murder mystery or just mystery type thing. So I think that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have some spooky stuff going on.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah. Spooky spiders, as my son likes to say.
You're absolutely right that it would be real easy. I mean, just showing up as a person and then melting into a bunch of crabs, I'm already terrified of you.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah. It would not be hard to produce a scary something or other in that situation. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much all I had. I'm just excited to keep reading. It's a short little story, so I'm ready to devour it and get the info. So, like I said, I like side stories in the larger world, so I'm excited to just to read it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's do a couple quick emails, and then we will wrap up for the day, y'all. We'll do a couple. These are reaching back to our Tress coverage, obviously, since this is our first coverage of something since Tress. But the first one is from HG, and it says, secondhand experience with Tress as a first Cosmere novel. Hey y'all, long-time listener, first-time emailer. First of all, I wanted to say that I'm a big fan and really enjoy the commentary, theorizing, and spook hatred that y'all have dished out over the years. I'm emailing specifically because you asked about experiences of folks who read Tress as their first Cosmere novel. When Tress first came out, I gave a copy to my sister, who is not a big fantasy reader. She devoured it in like 2 days, and the Cosmere Aware stuff didn't register to her at all. Since then, the only Cosmere book she's read was Yumi, which she had pretty much the same experience with. I think we, as people who've read most/all the books, really notice the Easter eggs and crossovers because we're so immersed in the world that we stop and pay attention to each one. But if you're not Cosmere aware, you just read Nalthian Awakened Circuit as fantasy computer. And it also helps that the world is already so wild with deadly spores, a talking rat, and a zombie guy who keeps trying to buy body parts from you or sell body parts to you that I don't think you're really dissecting every throwaway line from Hoyd. I've since recommended Tress and Yumi to a couple other people who are new to Sanderson, and they had the same reaction. They loved the book and did not feel left out or confused by any of the Cosmere stuff. Best from HG. So,
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
there you go. I'm glad people are having that experience.
No, as am I. Yeah. Again, I think maybe it's just because I know, like, even if I hadn't read all the other books, if I knew that these were references to other books I hadn't read yet, maybe that would set me off. But if I was completely in the dark about it, maybe that would work better.
Fair. And yeah, we have talked about this a couple times, so we won't harp on it too long. But it is like, it's not always easy to put yourself in the head of that person who does not have the knowledge that you have.
Sure.
Yeah,
We're obviously looking from a very biased perspective.
Yeah. So I'm glad people are enjoying the book as their first one. Good for y'all. Now, let's see. The next email is from Ryan, and the title is Rysn and Moash. Hey, Sanderlanche crew. I was listening to the 2 most recent episodes of the podcast at the time that I'm writing this, and wanted to share a couple of things. First off, Dak, I had the exact same feeling when Crow mentioned rain. It's such a basic thing that it never crossed my mind because I was so caught up in the story.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention relates to the email from Joe talking about people trying to make you all more attached to Moash. I can't speak for others who wrote in mentioning Moash, but I know I told the truth about hating him. Fuck Moash. Also, there have been multiple passionate discussions about Moash on the Discord with people strongly defending him, so there are listeners who think he had justification for at least some of his actions. As always, I continue to look forward to each new episode, especially looking forward to all meeting a dragon. So this was obviously before that came out, but not wrong. There are some people who very strongly defend Moash even in our Discord, so it is not an unpopular position.
I guess that just speaks to, that subplot in particular, and just how deftly Brandon wrote it. That to this day there are still people who will fight one way or the other, and it's it's not just like a united, everyone agrees this character was wrong. Like there are still people, and it's not just like a particularly vocal minority. There are lots of people out there who still go in his favor. So yeah, quality of the writing on that one, that it's still such a vocal debate.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like
they're wrong, but
I feel like we've talked about that kind of to death, right? It's like we obviously have our ideas on it, and I'm not out there saying you guys are wrong. I think my point, I think my point more to responding to this person's email was my point more is like about emotional manipulation. Like you don't need to emotionally manipulate us just to defend a character. Like that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this person was just saying like, hey, I know that guy said that we were doing that, but not all of us were trying to emotionally.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. I'm sure there's plenty of people that just enjoy or feel like Moash is somebody they either can relate to or be, think like he's justified in some of the things that he's done. But we just don't agree on that, right? It's like we the Sanderlanche podcast, I think, has determined we believe Moash no bueno.
It's like our stance has always been murder bad, therefore Moash bad.
Murder bad. Mm-hmm.
Murder bad, sure. I mean, Kaladin does murder people, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to like Moash, you go for it.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own takes on the books. That's why they're fun. That's why you enjoy listening to other people read them, because everyone has their own takes. And so, yeah, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. You're just wrong.
I was about to say, I think you just did.
I totally did. But in a joking, fun way.
Yes, we're all about love and peace here on the Sanderlanche podcast.
Love and peace.
Yeah.
I love Vash.
Everybody love and peace. Yeah. I tried to watch the new anime they made. They've made like a couple of new series, but I'm not a huge fan of the animation style.
I remember when the first new one came out, I was like, oh, I need to watch that. And I never did. So I do intend to at some point. All right, let me see if there's another short one that we can just throw out real quick, and then we'll No, not really. We got a couple of reviews, but we've actually cleared out a lot of the mailbox. There's only like I think 3 more that aren't spoilery in some way. So and a couple of reviews in that, but I don't want to dig into the reviews just now. So we'll save those for next time. Joe will jump you into the Misting Crew. For the folks who sent us reviews, tune in next week. Speaking of,
send us a review. Send us an email. We want to hear from you.
if you want to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, places like that. If you leave us a 5-star review on the podcast listening platform of your choice, send us a picture of it, and Joe will jump you into the Misting Crew. You can also find us on Patreon, where if you want to join the Patreon, Joe will assign you a faring power, and if you do both, you can be a Twinborn. Patreon, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, just finished Isles of the Emberdark on there. I'm going to start the new novella from the Tailored Realities book that came out this year. Moment Zero is the name of that. I have not started reading that yet because I couldn't start recording it yet. My voice is, I think, mostly better at this point. So hopefully before the weekend is out, I can record at least one of those. So that's what's coming up next on the Patreon. And after that, I think it may be time to go back to Dragonsteel Prime, which people who've been members of the Patreon for a long time saw me start that and leave off after, I think, a decent number of episodes. Like, it's a big book. And I'm only like 13% of the way through it, but I'm pretty sure that came out to a decent number of episodes on our Patreon. I'll have to go back and look. Anyway, so check out our Patreon if you want to hear me reacting to things for the first time, potentially some other stuff. All right, so as I said, remember, we're doing 4 chapters for next time. That's chapters 6, 7, 8, and 9 of Dawnshard. So if you're reading along, read those 4 chapters. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wuzzing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Vasher. Ha! I'm Syl.
To the cups.
To the cups. I'm
We don't have to do to the cups.
What did we come
guys.
up? I'm going to remember it.
We
I'm
don't
gonna
have
do
to
it
do
now.
to the cups.
Oh,
I
we're
feel like
doing
it's too much.
Yes.